once again, welcome back to my channel. I'm starting Smutathon a bit earlier than everyone else. It's the 17th of December and I'm fully not cheating. I just want to figure out what audiobook I'm going to listen to tomorrow while working. Let's just spin the wheel and see. It even makes sounds. Oh, so it's new to you older. I had 4 books on my official TBR for this prompt, which is great because I can pick and choose. And I think I'm going to go with Just Like That by McCade. For one reason only. Well, I guess for 2 reasons. I want to read it, and also I think Scribd is carrying the audiobook, and I need an audiobook for tomorrow because I wouldn't be able to read with my eyes, obviously. So, Just Like That by McCade it is. Hi. If I look exhausted, it's because I am. I definitely had a tough start and I do not appreciate it. I really wanted to enjoy this readathon and I'm still holding out hope that I'm going to. Basically, on Friday I had to work the whole day, which is natural. I do work Fridays. And I also had to work a bit extra because, as usual, by the end of the year you have to complete every single task because suddenly everyone cares about it. I stayed late and I read very little. Today I had to go and drop some paperwork to register my apartment on me, and this was quite a bit of an adventure. I just hate paperwork and bureaucracy in general. Nothing is transparent. I thought I didn't need one document, so I went without it. I didn't know where it is, to be fair. I also didn't know that I need it because neither of the articles told me that I need this document to register my apartment. Thankfully, everything worked out in the end, but I spent most of my day doing this, and I'm very frustrated because we're living in 21st century. Everything has electronic signatures and somehow it doesn't count and I need this paper. I am very annoyed right now. Either way, I'm sure you weren't that interested in this story because it's boring and annoying as well, but I had to share with someone at least. Moving on to my reading, I did pick up Just Like That by McCade. I am enjoying this book, even though it's something that I didn't want to read. In my TBR video for this readathon, if you watched it and you remember it, I said that I really don't want to read anything about a sus age gap. And this one is a sus age gap. This age gap is 20 plus years and I'm mildly uncomfortable about it. I don't like to read about very large age gaps in general because I feel like people romanticize them a lot and they don't really delve into the conflicts that people in relationships with such age gaps have. Especially if they meet not in the solid middle in terms of age, like for example one partner is 30 and the other partner is 50. Usually they have less conflict, but when it comes to earlier stage or later stage, you can really tell that people are looking for different things. So I always notice that romance novels tend to ignore this element because it's an inconvenient element. It's not very sexy. Romance novels, when it comes to December-May romances, are always focusing on the dominance of the older partner and how it turns on the younger partner. Which, I mean, that's the reasoning for a lot of these types of relationships, but it's also not something that is going to sustain a relationship long term. I'm saying all that just because I really wanted to talk about it for a long time, but I also am really enjoying the book, so I have some tea here. I love the writing style so much. He also does this thing that not a lot of authors do, where he doesn't just describe how the character is feeling. He shows a lot of outward signs of certain emotions, so it's open to interpretation. If you know the signs, you're going to know what these characters are feeling. And also there are so many beautiful passages. I definitely am going to read more from this author in the future because I'm really enjoying it. The topic is not especially interesting to me because it's not just a teacher-teacher romance. Again, I was lied to. Perhaps I was lying to myself. That is open to investigation. But the protagonist named Summer comes back to his hometown named Omen. Such a cool name for the town. Either way, he comes back home to help his mother and he also gets a job as a TA in the academy that he was a student in the past. He becomes the TA of his professor that he had a crush on when he was younger. So that is, I feel, a bit taboo. What I'm enjoying is that they cleared the air very early in the book. They discuss the fact that Summer had a crush on Fox. They acknowledge that it's something that a lot of younger people go through. They also talk about what it means to them at the moment, and if he still has a crush on, and he confesses that he does find him attractive. I think they're being very adult about it, which I like. And I also don't find it as scandalous because Professor Isaiah isn't immediately excited about this crush, which tells me that he's not a creep. The start of the novel is very interesting. Summer comes back to his town, sees a fire in the academy, which is not unusual to anyone because the chemistry teacher always burns something. He helps to fight the fire, meets his professor, they talk about the job. The professor didn't realize that it's him. And Fox is very hesitant. He isn't sure that Summer is going to be able to teach to these kids. He knows Summer as a very shy boy that can't even hold eye contact, and he tells him that he needs to learn how to be more assertive. This school is filled with rich, spoiled adolescent boys, and they're going to challenge him a lot, which I think is very fair. A teacher must know how to be assertive. Fox tells Summer that he needs to do something brave and daring every day to build up this muscle, and Summer is flustered and a bit angry at him, so he kisses him because it's something brave to do, and that's how it starts. They have to talk about the past feelings that he had. Down the road in this novel, Fox is also told that Professor Isaiah had a wife that died. He didn't know about that. He just thought that this guy is very mysterious and has some dark secrets, etc. But he never as a child realized that it's an image that he put on because of his grief. I really like a lot of elements in the story. The character work is very well done. I know that I'm going to finish this book today because I'm planning to cozy up and just read. I don't have any plans, thankfully. But I know that I won't be able to film before picking up another one. So I'm just going to spin the wheel right now and get it on camera because that is one of the most exciting parts. Let's just spin it, I guess. One word title. The only book that I have for this prompt is Spark, and it's about a secret sex club, and it's supposed to be sapphic, so we'll see if I'm going to enjoy it. I finished reading Just Like That by McCade, and I really liked it. It was surprisingly very sweet, but also kind of dark academia-ish. What's funny about it is a couple of months before this video, I tweeted that I really want a dark academia book from the point of view of a teacher, not a student, because I'm getting older and it's harder for me to empathize. Well, it's not harder for me to empathize, it's rather harder for me to, I guess, care as much, which is similar but not really. That's basically this book, but with a teacher-teacher romance as well. And dark academia in it is more of an aesthetic than a subgenre that dictates the rules. I found this book to be surprisingly sweet. I thought that the angst is going to play more of a role here, but it was very obvious that they're going to be together by the end. That something devastating is not going to happen to this relationship, even though they both deal with a lot of personal issues. If you like romances about closed-off characters that gave up on themselves, well, not on themselves, but I guess on their love lives, they don't really expect to find anyone and they don't want to let anyone in, and a character that thaws them and just reaches past these walls and opens them up, this is the book for you. I really enjoyed this part of the story. I also love the aesthetic. Unsurprisingly, I love dark academia aesthetic, and I really liked the writing style. It's very me. There are a lot of very beautiful passages that do make sense. I really like this book. Summer was so daring at parts that I just couldn't comprehend how can you be this daring, because I was dying from the second-hand embarrassment, I guess. I just wouldn't be able to ever be this brave about stuff. I also read Spark by Cynthia Dane and Hildred Billings. It was pretty short, under 100 pages, so it went by quickly. It wasn't really my thing. I just didn't love it. It was about a sex club, about a party that these two women go to they both just broke up their relationships. One had a long-term girlfriend that found another dom, and the second one divorced her husband because he was cheating on her with his co-worker. But they were poly and open and something like that. Which, I mean, it's still cheating if you don't tell your partner that you're in an open relationship with, that you're dating someone. I'm moving on to the next book. I have to do a bit of work, which isn't especially appealing, so I really hope that I'm going to get a prompt that I have an audiobook for, so I would be able to listen to the audiobook while working. Fake relationship it is. And I do have a very fun book to read for fake relationship. It's Written in the Stars by Alexandria Bellefleur. And I do have an audiobook for it because it's on Scribd, so let's hope that Scribd did not restrict my access to this book and I would actually be able to listen to it. You know what? No. Absolutely not. I'm going to delve a bit deeper into what I'm feeling right now because I've been feeling things since reading Spark, and I feel like I have to clear it up a little bit because it doesn't leave me. So I was sitting with myself and thinking, why I'm so vexed? What is going on with me? Usually it's something that I've seen on the news and didn't let go yet. I've had a sense of aimless irritation that I actually carried over from reading this book, Spark. And I started thinking back to it because in the previous clip I said that this book was simply not for me, which is my instinct to say that because all the books are written for someone and sometimes I'm just not the audience. In this case, I feel like something else was wrong. And I even written down in my notes what I think is wrong, which means that something was really, really wrong in my opinion, because I usually don't do notes. I just go with the inspiration. So let's go through the notes. This is what I've written. The way lesbian women are treated in this is atrocious. I couldn't stop thinking back to it. I should be taking it as just smut, but then the fact that everything is coming back to men in this novel is connected to them and matters more than any relationships with women bothers me. I'm big mad about a lesbian butch character, Bree, who was presented in this story in many ways to be for consumption of men. For example, there were allusions in the story of her enjoying the attention of men in the club when she is having sex with other women. So other men looking at her while she has sex with other women and she not minding it and liking it in a way. And that is offensive to me because the last thing that I want for myself is to be associated with men sexually. So I really don't get that in this story. This instance is also described as something that she's comfortable with because she's comfortable in her sexuality. This doesn't even make sense to me. If I'm comfortable in my sexuality, should I allow men watch me fuck other women? The scenes that the authors were alluding to were very questionable to me. Granted, they were not presented on the page, even in the flashbacks, but a couple of characters alluded to it, which, I mean, still bothered me. Bree also is written as a character who fucks and fucks off. Bree is hardly written like a person. She's written into the story to be someone's dildo, and that's basically it. And there is another layer to that because she's a butch woman, and it's the way a lot of butch women are treated by straight women and women in queer communities as well. So that was a pleasant kick to this terrible dish. I feel like we forgot what fetishization actually means, like with a lot of other woke terminology on the internet. I feel like we threw around words such as abusive or toxic relationship or fetishization without really thinking if it is so, without really knowing the meaning behind the word or stretching the meaning of it. With fetishization, I see it a lot with MM romances, which is really not true and can be put on the genre itself as a blanket statement, because fetishization actually means objectifying someone, dehumanizing them, and this is not equal at all to queer people having sex. I want everyone to know that it's not the same thing. The term actually means taking something that isn't supposed to be sexual and making it sexual. For example, taking two male characters involved in a romance in a young adult book, holding hands and masturbating to them. We've had this discussion this year. I can't believe so many things happened this year, but whatever, it's not the thing that we're talking about right now. It's also thinking of real queer people in a weird sexual way. For example, coming up to a sapphic couple and asking deeds about their sexual relationship. This is what objectification actually means. If the work itself was meant to be an erotic novel or a romance novel, and the way the characters are portrayed is not grotesque and their sexual relationship is not grotesque, then it's absolutely not the same thing, and we need a different term for what you're trying to say, because it's not the same. With this novel, I had to sit down and think if it is actually objectification or I'm reacting overtly to it because of my experiences. And I have to say that if we're taking the context in, it is absolutely objectification because the character is not treated like a human. I feel like a lot of people forget that to be objectified you need to dehumanize the character or person. That is my take on this short novella. I don't know if you needed it, but I had to say it. It got really dark, huh? I actually started reading Written in the Stars and I am in love already. I really enjoy the writing style. It is very rom-com-y and I was waiting for a sapphic rom-com for such a long time. You know it, I always say that. It kind of reads like the Bridget Jones Diaries, but not the book, the movie. It has the same conversational style writing and it's just really fun. I finished reading Written in the Stars and it was so delightful. It immediately goes into my favorites. I didn't expect to love any books this late into the year because I feel a bit fatigued by reading and by creating booktube videos constantly, so it does affect my reading. But this book surpassed all my expectations. It is just so rare for a book or a movie that is pitched as a romantic comedy to actually be funny and romantic. The quality of rom-coms truly dropped after the movie The Proposal came out. After this, we've only seen blends of genres that were partly romantic comedies but not really, or romantic comedies for teens. Other movies just never hit the same way as the older romantic comedies did. Movies like When You Were Asleep or Leap Year, which is a really well-crafted romantic comedy that not everyone has seen. I think Netflix is going to get it soon, so if you love romantic comedies, watch it. It has Matthew Good, which I know a lot of people like now because he's in the Discovery of Witches. I love these movies. I love The Holiday, 2 Weeks Notice, but I don't think that in the current climate you can actually do them the same way, which is an issue because they were funny and romantic because they were not at all rooted in real life. Most of the things that happened in them would grant some kind of access restriction to the female love interest. But it's fiction, it's not real life. So this book, honestly, while being super modern, was a really good rom-com. I am obsessed with it. It is also kind of holiday-ish because there is a very decent chunk of plot while they are fake dating and going to family things, including Thanksgiving dinner, and it's just so good. It honestly is good. I love the characters, the relationship, the humor in it, the tension. It was really good and I was very engaged. Also, people are not hyping this book enough. It is honestly a gift and everything I wanted from an FF romance because we need more sapphic romantic comedies. Usually when it comes to movies we get a mix of things, but it's also, as I said, just a trend and the Hollywood's inability to produce romantic comedies the way they produced them before. For many reasons. Just so you know what my preferences are in terms of characters, Darcy is an absolute icon because she doesn't believe in astrology and that is very me. And I don't really think that she was rude at the first date. Maybe when she talked to her friend how horrible her date is. Only then. But being a skeptic is totally not a crime. I think I've given you the summary, but maybe I didn't. It's about these two girls, Darcy and Ellie. Darcy's brother, that is Ellie's co-worker, sets them up on a date. The date bombs, one of them leaves without saying goodbye. It is a disaster. But then Darcy is ambushed by her brother, and she knows that he's going to continue to try to set her up with people, and she doesn't really want that. She wants to focus on her career. So she pretends that the date went well and that she's still dating L, hoping that he's not going to talk to her about it. But he does. And it backfires, obviously. And they now have to pretend to date. In Darcy's case, because she wants to convince her brother to leave her alone, and in Elle's case, to make her family believe that she has her shit together. The premise itself was so good, and the author delivered on all of her promises. Either way, it's the end of my Smutathon reading vlog. Tell me if you participated and how yours went, what you've read. Did you like the books that you've read? What prompts you got? I think this is going to be published after Catholic Christmas, so Merry Christmas if you're celebrating. We do have a different calendar, so the first holiday for us is the New Year's and then Christmas, and I'm not religious, so I don't celebrate Christmas. We just celebrate the New Year's, which is the biggest holiday here. Thank you for watching my channel. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you soon with my end of the year videos. But until then,